Whenever we make the trip to a Jeep Jamboree USA event, we try to roll in a day early and just kind of get the lay of the land, get a glimpse of what we might be in for. Even a glimpse of the Bighorn area is a lot to see. How do we even try to tell this story? I think we start with, you just gotta go there and see it. Watching just the first 60 seconds of Steve's amazing video work from our pre-run of the Bighorn Mountains Jeep Jamboree near Burgess Junction, Wyoming, made me want to look around for my keys, and I just had a need to go back. This place borders on a spiritual experience. If it's hot and miserable where you are, if the traffic's making you crazy, if you find yourself staring at your Jeep for uncomfortable and inordinately long stretches of time, you may need an intervention. Relax as we give you a glimpse of what awaits you and your beloved Jeep in the Bighorn, Wyoming mountains. All jamborees have a built-in Jeep show when we do the trail lineups. This gives us a chance to scope out the latest and greatest in Jeep accessories.
Gather up at the front of your lines again. Your guides are going to tell you what you're going to see today, give you your CV channels. Now we're such a big deal.
We do have a pretty large group.
There will be some water crossing.
We have about 5 miles of pavement.
After a few minutes of expect this and watch out for that instructions, it was trail time.
We're going to get waters. All right, we got extra waters here. Please grab a couple extra for your Jeep.
Now there's always a short drive to the trailhead of some kind, but the Bighorn area doesn't seem to have a boring drive within 100 miles. We make the turn off to the Shell trailhead. Oh, that's nice. Cue the cowboy and throw in a horse or two, and don't forget the cattle dog. Yeah, that just happened. It usually takes a few minutes for everyone to bunch up once we leave the pavement. But that short pause can give us all a chance to stop and smell the roses. Those don't actually appear to be roses, but Birdie is Birdie. Most of the access roads in the area are very well maintained, and that has to take some major effort. This area is famous for some world-class snowmobiling and therefore much snow. When we reached the first of the many summits, we were over 9,000 feet in elevation. The open country really made it worth a pause to just drink it all in. Our path will lead us down off Photo Op Hill and up the far ridge, still driving on some well-maintained roads. But no one seemed to be in a big hurry to leave the view. The winding road down off Inspiration Point, I made that name up, and through some grassy meadows filled with appreciative cows. Well, there's only one appreciative cow. This is going well. But they did tell us that we would be passing Shell Lake on our journey. And the way the trees limited our view, it seemed like we were going to have one of those amazing reveal moments. Wait for it. Bam! Yeah, as it turns out, we weren't here to fish, so we forged on. The trail was still reasonably well maintained, so we continued in our two-wheel drive, high-range driving experience, which is great, because we needed one of those lots of Jeeps on a winding trail heading into the unknown shots. Oh yeah, that totally works. But as we continued, there was an ominous and unfamiliar sound in the air. Our trail leader's voice on the radio was announcing that something big was coming up. It was time to lock 'em in, because Shell Trail was going to get real. But before we get all serious about crawling some rocks, it was time to eat our Jamboree-provided lunches and explore. This break gives us a chance to become well-grounded and prepare ourselves mentally for the task at hand. Well played. As it turns out, those of us at the back of the line would have plenty of mental preparation time, because once our brave trail guides were done making the obstacle look easy, it was time for the rank and file to give it battle. the goal here is to get everyone through without a strap. And our guides did an amazing job making that happen.
Okay. Slow, forward, straight forward.
This is one of the things I really love about Jeep Jamborees. We're all pulled out of our comfort zones and we get a chance to see what our Jeeps can really do. All with the help of some very qualified and patient spotting that sometimes goes above and beyond the call of duty. This is one of those climbs where some spotter help makes a big difference. It's hard to see over the hood and the rocks are everywhere. Every Jeep was built just a little differently, and the tire size and wheelbase definitely changed the line.
A little more, passenger. There you go. Stay on that.
As with most obstacles here, there's a no-shame bypass. Live to wheel another day is often good advice, especially when you have to drive it back home. But those who chose to make the climb were able to... Hey, whoa, what's that, side-by-sides? Okay, in true Jeeper fashion, we allowed them to play through. Well, taking the bypass, of course. All right, where were we? As the driver, we want to know where our tires are, but the hood and fenders make the view less than optimal. We can only get a partial view of the rocks, and spotters see everything. And they can turn out to be a blessing in our lives. As are a set of 40-inch tires and a TeraFlex Falcon coilover suspension. Just saying. It took a bit, but we all made it through in one piece and without taking a strap. Did I mention how much a good spotter helps?
Right there.
We are now well past the sections of the trail that enjoyed any road maintenance at all. It was time to become one with each boulder in the trail. Mud. Yeah. It's disappointing to some of us. Yeah, fun to drive through, but unenjoyable to clean up after the experience. Okay, I'll stop crying about a little mud puddle, especially when the voice on the radio said that we're going to be crossing an up to the Sliders deep river. From there, the trail was in low range and four-wheel drive. It was totally doable, but it required some tree and rock dodging. Gaining some good altitude as the trail wound up through the trees, and there was still the spotter-worthy obstacle or two to contend with. Now, jamborees are designed for the whole family to enjoy. Dogs, kids, giant killer bees, everyone is welcome. Our trail guides did some legit hiking to keep us all in one piece. What do you call that? Landscape? Yeah, at the top of the mountain was totally bizarre. Almost as bizarre as the random two-sided rock that Jeeps were pulling up to get, better acquainted. There should be a name for that rock. Okay, yeah, it's called Kissing Rock. I have no idea why. When it comes to a group photo op, Kissing Rock is just hard to beat. But alas, there's more to see and experience. And the road less traveled is often the most fun, as long as it's traveled in a Jeep. Oh, I'm going to sell that one to Jeep. It was day 2, as we'd been dodging the weather for several days. Today looked amazing. Which brings to mind the eternal question of how many chucks a woodchuck can chuck. Okay, it's too early for dad jokes. Woodchuck Trail was promised to be an easier than Shell Trail, but but the trade-off promised to be with some great visuals. So we were geared up for some video. There were cameras everywhere. And then the drone was nowhere. It was time to rally the new TeraFlex coilover suspension. The drone needed to be rescued. The drone remote kept saying, returning home, wherever that was. So we rallied down the trail in a safe and controlled fashion, all the while looking for scraps of propeller and plastic on the trail. The little guy had indeed returned home, to the start of the trail, and it was just hanging in the air as we approached. That was just weird. But alas, I got to flog my new coilovers for a search and rescue mission. And we were abusing my Jeep for a worthy cause. That's all we needed was a reason. Well, we were caught up with the group like nothing had even happened. I mean, after all, we are professionals. It didn't take long for us to reach our first stop, a crazy cool rock formation that just randomly appears on a cliff edge. The voice on the radio said that exploring and free climbing the rocks was perfectly okay, so we waited with cameras ready. This was a wise group. They recognized the fact that most accidents happen when we leave the comfort of our Jeeps and walk. Smart. For safety, we drove on. We were promised some great views, and Woodchuck was not disappointing. Back in high range for a stretch left us free to enjoy the area without annoying rocks and stuff. Which was great. We were quickly covering some ground as we headed for the next section of the trail. So far we had some great weather, and this light rain only added to the colors of the area. Part of the allure of this trail is the multiple water crossings. And I'm not sure what it is about forging a stream that seems to bring the pulse up a bit, but being in a Jeep with some lift gives the confidence that we won't have to do that dangerous get out of the Jeep thing that we discussed earlier. With altitude comes terrain changes, as well as the need for some low crawl control and some great Jeeps in action shots. The trees were thick here, and without a logging or mining road, there is no way the area would be even passable. It was definitely pay attention and drive time. We were dodging trees and crossing streams exactly as advertised. Though not difficult, this was a ride worth taking. When we opened up into a meadow, we broke out of the trees, and the change in the scenery was an amazing contrast. The trees gave way to grass, the grass gave way to rocks, the rocks gave way to overlooks, and amazing views. Well, the trail continued on, and once we got out of the trees, it started to work its way back down the mountain. Now, there were definitely no shortages of things to see. One of the things that really impressed me was the way the rocks were trying to find their way through the grass. It was so random. Not a great place to snowmobile with only a foot of snow. There'd be a lot of surprises. Our final water crossing was pretty legit, but it wasn't life-threatening. We forged through without incident. We had a brief meeting at an intersection on the trail. One way would get us to the highway 20 minutes quicker. The other had more trail in it. Oh, we chose the trail. The trail, it's in our blood. Our needs are real, and they needed to be met. The only true path any of us hardened off-road adventure seeker Jeepers would choose would be the long and winding road that leads... Yeah, okay, that's enough of that. This was the final section of the trail, back out to the highway, and yes, it beat the heck out of driving the highway. Each Jamboree terrain has its own personality, and the same holds true for the Jeepers at the event. The trail guides and jokers attending this Jamboree were just plain fun to hang with. I'm Dennis at TeraFlex saying, see you on down the road, Jack.